Welcome to the Lighthouse HR Consultancy podcast, where CEOs, founders, and HR leaders get honest, practical conversations about people, operations, and growth. I'm your host today, and with me is the voice you're going to hear a lot on this show, Maggie Serrico, Fractional HR Director and founder of Lighthouse HR Consultancy. Maggie, welcome to the Lighthouse HR podcast.
Thank you. I'm very happy to finally be here. This has been on my mind for a long time.
So, episode 1. Let's set the scene. Who is Maggie? What is Lighthouse HR? And why should a time-poor CEO or HR directors give us a few minutes of their week?
Exactly. If you're listening to this on a commute, walking the dog, or between meetings, I want you to feel like you're sitting in a room with someone who understands your world and will not waste your time.
So let's start with the big one. You've had over 20 years in senior HR. Amazon, IKEA, Phones for You and others. You managed large-scale market launches and HR frameworks across the UK, Netherlands, Turkey and Poland. You could just quietly consult and be fully booked. Why start a podcast?
Because I keep seeing the same problems, just dressed in different logos. You've got great businesses, retail, e-commerce, facilities management, multi-site operations, where the commercial strategy is crystal clear, but the people strategy is vague or completely missing. HR is treated as a cost, a safety net, or a fire extinguisher, not as a driver of growth. At the same time, I meet HR leaders who are smart, capable, and exhausted, constantly firefighting with no space to think strategically. Nobody is giving them a playbook for how to step up and speak in board language.
So this podcast is your way of putting those conversations on loudspeaker.
Correct. Instead of having the same conversation 20 times a year behind closed doors, I want to put the thinking, the stories, and the practical examples out in the open for CEOs, managing directors, and HR leaders who want something more than theory.
Let's talk about you for a moment. In one line, how would you introduce yourself to someone who's never heard of Lighthouse HR?
I'm a fractional HR director who helps growing businesses treat HR as a strategic engine, not an admin function.
And if we go a bit deeper, what has really shaped the way you think about HR?
A few things. First, working in demanding, fast-moving environments. Amazon, IKEA, large retail, hospitality. These are places where if your people strategy doesn't work, you feel it immediately in operations, in customer experience, and in results. Second, owning complex and messy work, acquisitions, restructures, site openings, and rapid expansion. These are not nice projects. They're hard, they're sensitive, and they expose every weakness in your leadership and communication. And third, I'm naturally curious and quite direct. I ask questions that sometimes make people uncomfortable, but they move things forward. I'm also a bit of a bookworm and a horse rider, which means I spend a lot of time thinking while mucking out stables and reading, not just sitting in meeting rooms.
I like that combination. Boardroom plus stable. Very grounding. It keeps you honest. Horses don't care about your job title. So, let's introduce Lighthouse HR properly. When someone asks, what do you actually do? How do you answer?
I say this, I help CEOs, managing directors and HR leaders in growing businesses line up people, operations, and strategy, so they can scale without burning people out or losing control. In practice, that usually looks like 3 things. Number 1, I step in as a fractional HR director or interim people director. I sit in that senior HR seat part-time, usually for businesses that are too big to run on basic HR, but not ready or not willing to hire a full-time HR director. 2, I support big projects and transformations. That includes complex acquisitions, restructures, site openings, large-scale changes. I come in, design the people strategy, and lead it with the business. 3, I bring think like Amazon style work into smaller and mid-sized organizations. I help them borrow the clarity and discipline of Amazon's leadership principles and hiring standards, but adapt it to a hotel group, a service business, a UK mid-sized company. Not a carbon copy, but the thinking behind it.
So, not the flashy slide deck that disappears after the workshop.
Definitely not. If you want theory, there are 1,000 books. If you want delivery, that's where I come in.
Let's talk about who should keep listening to this series. Who is this podcast really for?
If you are a CEO, managing director, or business owner in a growing organization, especially in hospitality, retail, logistics, or field service, and you have this nagging feeling that HR is very busy, but you're not sure it's truly strategic, or you can feel things will break as you grow, but you're not sure where first, then this is for you. And if you are an HR director, head of people, or HR business partner who wants to step up and be taken seriously at board level, not just called in for people issues, this is for you as well.
What about HR people who already feel under pressure? Is this going to be another You Should Do More podcast?
No, this is not about shaming HR. This is about giving language, tools, and examples so HR can be more effective and so leaders understand what good HR leadership actually looks like.
Let's make this really tangible. What kinds of episodes are coming?
You can expect episodes on when a business actually needs a fractional HR director and its benefits, scope, and true value. We'll look at what it looks like when HR is truly strategic, with very concrete examples. We'll talk about how businesses can borrow from Amazon without trying to turn into Amazon. We'll share real stories about acquisitions, restructures, and growth, what went right, what went wrong, and what we learned. We'll also dig into how AI is showing up in HR, in reality, not just in headlines. And there will be episodes specifically for HR professionals on stakeholder management, confidence, and career growth.
Will you be doing this mostly solo, or will we hear guests?
With my team to begin with, so you get a sense of my thinking and approach. But we will bring in CEOs, HR leaders, and specialists as guests, people who have lived through serious change and can talk frankly about it.
If someone's made it this far into episode 1, how do you want them to use this podcast going forward?
2 simple ways. First, treat each episode as a working session. Don't just listen and move on. Take one question, one idea, and bring it into your next leadership meeting or one-to-one. Ask yourself, if Maggie was in the room, what would she be challenging us on right now? Second, connect the dots to your own business. If something lands and you think, this is exactly where we are with our people, don't leave it as a nice thought. Take action, whether that's a conversation internally or reaching out for help.
Speaking of reaching out, if someone's listening and thinking, we might need this kind of support, where should they go?
The easiest places are my website and my LinkedIn. You can find my business at lighthousehr.co.uk, and you can connect with me on LinkedIn by searching for my name, Maggie Serako. If you're not sure what you need yet, that's fine. We can have a conversation, map out where you are, and see whether fractional support or a specific project partnership makes sense.
Brilliant. Final question for episode 1. What's coming next?
Next, we're going to talk about when a business actually needs a fractional HR director. We'll walk through a few real scenarios so you can quickly see if that's where you are, or if you need something different.
Perfect. You've been listening to the Lighthouse HR Consultancy podcast with Maggie Serako. If this introduction resonated with you, follow the show, share it with a CEO or HR leader you know, and join us for further episodes.
Thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode.